This is your reminder that Stockholm Syndrome does not exist. It is made up. And not only is it made up, it was made up in the first place to try and discredit a really brave 23-year-old woman. So the first person to ever be diagnosed with what came known to be known as Stockholm Syndrome was 23-year-old Kristin Enmark. He was working at a bank in Stockholm when a career criminal, Jan Erik Olsson, came into the bank dressed in, he had a wig and he had like a false disguise and he had a gun with him and he started firing shots and he basically was there to rob the bank. Now this is Sweden and it's 1973, so no one is expecting this. This is really, really unusual. And everyone's hoping that he'll just be given the money and then he will go away very, very quickly. But that's not what happens. It actually unfolds and ends up being a 6-day siege when this maniac takes a load of people hostage in the bank. And this is her being taken away in an ambulance when the siege was over. He didn't take loads of people hostage, he took 4 people hostage. And here they are. So Kristin is top right. And Jan Erik, he ties them all up and he locks them in the bank vault. And this was actually the first crime that was live broadcast on Swedish TV. So everybody's watching, including Jan Erik, who's inside the bank watching the TVs of everybody filming the bank from the outside. And pretty soon things get wildly out of control. It was never supposed to go on that long. The police are surrounded it, it's being filmed and he's making all kinds of mad demands. Including one of his former cellmates, a guy called Clark Olafsson, is released and brought to the bank. Now, by all accounts, Olafsson didn't know anything about this, so he was surprised as everybody else. But he gets brought into the bank, and apparently he had quite a calming effect with the hostages, not waving weaponry around. Now, here's the critical thing. The police made a lot of mistakes during this 6-day siege, including falsely identifying Jan Erik in the beginning. They thought he was another guy, and then they went and got the little brother of the guy that they thought he was and brought him to the bank, thinking that he would see his brother and go, oh, I'll behave myself. But he just freaked him out completely because he didn't know who this guy was walking towards the bank, and he just took shots at him. And so the hostages are beginning to worry that actually their main danger is not from the robbers, but from the police who are messing this up. And at one point, Kristin is even put on the phone with the Prime Minister of Sweden, where she's saying, look, please, you just have to get us out of here. I want to all come out together. And she's saying that the robbers are fine, just the police need to stop wrecking everything because they're really freaking everybody out. So after 6 days, the police actually start drilling into the building, and the plan is that they're gonna drop tear gas in and incapacitate everybody. So obviously all the hostages are really freaked that Jan Erik is gonna lose it and start shooting everyone, and he's telling everybody that he's gonna kill them too. Anyway, the police do get in, they do manage to subdue Jan Erik, and they do manage to take him away in handcuffs, and the hostages are all freed. The police had hired a psychiatrist to help them with the siege, and it was this guy here, Niels Bigerot. He never actually spoke to any of the hostages directly, and he certainly never spoke to Kristin. And to explain her aggression towards the police and her desire to leave the bank with the robbers rather than staying behind on her own, he made up a condition. He called it Normalstog syndrome after the street that the bank was on. He'd go on to say that Kristin had formed an intense emotional attachment, even had fallen in love with her captor. And she hadn't, she just didn't trust what the police were doing. And it's this that would go on to be known as Stockholm Syndrome. It has never been recognised by the medical profession. It's not included in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Disorders. It doesn't exist. It was just made up by this guy to try and explain why a 23-year-old woman would be so angry at the police for bungling a siege she was involved in. Kristin Enmark is now in her 70s and has spent her whole life pushing back against this idea that she fell in love with her captor and that Stockholm Syndrome is a real thing. She didn't love him, she didn't fall in love with him, she was trying to get him on side in order to survive, and she was angry with the police because they'd made such a hash of it. Kristin's actually published a book about what happened, so you can go and read about the story there. And that is why Stockholm Syndrome is not a thing.